the moments in my life when I genuinely believed that if something felt uncomfortable, it meant that it wasn't for me. So if something felt intense, felt uncertain, um, exposed, awkward, I took that as red flag. And for me, what that means is stop, Nene. We don't do that. We don't do things like that. We don't go that retreat. Um, course correct, stop. And that one, it was what I didn't realize that it was shaping and it was straining my nervous system to mislabel discomfort with danger. And that one misunderstanding shaped years, quietly shaping years of my decision. So here's the thing. What if the thing that we are avoiding isn't discomfort? It's actually unfamiliar. So yeah, so stay with me to the end of this video because for me, when I clearly saw it, I could see like it just changed how I saw fear completely. Like that was just kind of like a huge aha for me because for me, I had this notion, yes, with the beliefs that I had about myself, the beliefs that I had about other people and the world, that my when I was like in my early stage of my career as an interpreter, I would just there's certain things that I'm like, oh no, we're not ready. We can't do that. We need like some other more like situation or where I felt like, oh gosh, they might they might say something or sign something that I don't understand what it is. So no, we're not gonna do that. And I wouldn't even like there are situations where I would be in a space that I knew that I knew the stuff or I could say, but because I have like I just did not want to like if I go say something and then they're like, oh yeah, no, no, right. And then they laugh at me or whatever that is, I would not do the thing. So whatever felt uncomfortable, I just wouldn't. I would just be like, this is too much. Like this is just gonna be like they'll find out that I am dyslexic, or I would have to like I would lose out. It was just this thing about how what's the word? How I was showing up in a sense that because if it felt uncomfortable, like even if so, like even like in those days, just the act of, oh, so what's your fee for this booking or like this job you're about to do? And it's like, oh, ugh. And then because of that, I would just avoid replying the email. And then because they're waiting so long, they just go and give someone else. And all the, like just the weirdest things because I just felt like, who am I to be charging this kind of money? What am I even thinking to say this? So if anything, it was just kind of like, oh, they would go look for someone else or whatever. Or it's not even like I was thinking that. It was just because I was avoiding replying, they just went on and found someone else. Because I was just taking forever. And the thing was getting closer and closer to the time that they had to do what they had to do. They had to, you know, go find their person at a time. And there was so many situations and so many things that was so uncomfortable for me. Even I remember even showing up online, especially like when I was trying to get into Instagram, and like, oh, the discomfort of me signing, like, oh, the deaf community are just gonna be like, Nene, what is that? Like, what? All this inner chatter, like they would think of discriminating. Next thing I would like lose work or face, or like the all this kind of like stuff, because I was just so uncomfortable with the exposure. With if someone starts raising their hand and finger spelling something, and then I wouldn't, or I won't ask for, or let's have a conversation just in case, or if I can't, I always thought this thing like, oh, what about if I can't help or cannot support or cannot do anything? So because of that, I wasn't doing the things that would require me to be in front of people or have the conversation, because of how uncomfortable I was feeling, and because of how like on urge and on guard and everything. That discomfort was just crazy. Even the idea of showing up here daily, I put it off for the longest time, because it was just the idea of you put something out there and you you get the no views. And then it's, or nothing's happening, or there's no commenting or whatever that is. It can be so hard and discomfort, like crazy. And when I thought about it, it wasn't that, and this is the sad bit, it's not that I didn't want to grow, because I really wanted to expand and to do all those things. It was just my body was just reading this exposure as threat, as danger, as like, we don't do this. Because I'd be like sweating, or I'd be like on urge or stiff. And after like I've left the situation, whatever, when you get like that, those, like you're locked in, and a tightness and then everything, all that. And all those things of, oh, we like going to the seaside or whatever it is. I wouldn't want to just even go and dip my leg in the water or wear shorts, because I always thought like, oh, my legs were um didn't look great. My birthmark, people will stare. So because of that, the height of summer, I am wearing jumpers, and I will wear the dark one so that if you see my wet patches wouldn't show. And I could just feel the sweat streak going down the back of me and everything. And I was just like, because I was just, that's how it was. That's kind of like how it was rolling for me, with just being guarded about my birthmark and all those things. Like they just felt uncomfortable. And I just avoided it. Certain jobs I wouldn't do, because I didn't want to be found out that I was dyslexic or had dyslexia. And yeah, I was just misinterpreting all those things that were happening for me at the time, because of just not feeling comfortable. And this is the thing for me, is like, I, to me, equated discomfort as danger. And yeah, I was on high alert when things like that happened. And also, discomfort meant unfamiliar. Like, I don't know what's going to happen when I go to those things. I don't know how I'm going to be able to showcase myself or whatever. So I would just kind of like avoid it then. I would just not go there. And then my nervous system just took this on board. And my nervous system only knew like what I know, or how I know the situation is going to happen, how I know how things are. I was fine with that. I knew that if I go and do this job, this will happen. Fine. But if I now go and like just apply and do a job that I have no idea with, like the uncertainty of what could happen, who could be there, what kind of scenario, what they're talking about, all these things, break light. We do not do this. It is stress. When we don't know stuff, I felt threatened by it. And that's how my nervous system was reading it. If I don't know, no good, no go. That's it. That's how it rolled for me. And that's how it worked for the longest time. It was just, oh, oh no, oh no, we don't do that. Oh no, like it was just, and the funny and sad bit about it, it was just, you know how someone says something, oh, can you do this kind? Oh no, like it was instant. Like my body just knew that danger. We do not. It wasn't even like let's consider it. Let's like even just weigh the pros and the cons of like doing this thing. It was an immediate no, stop. What are you thinking? What? We don't do that. Like even when I would go into those places, I could feel my heart racing, like going into spaces like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? This is wrong. This is not safe. W- How would people like relate? Then I just felt comfortable doing a one-on-one or one-two. But when you now have like, they are like 10, 12 deaf people there, and you want me to now interpret for all those people, and then I don't get to understand one, and craziness of how much mislabeling controlled my life for the longest time, thinking that's the case. But now I know. Now I know that it is just about what I'm experiencing is just expansion. It is just how it is. Like this is just what how it like how it's supposed to be. Like when you're in those spaces, you're expanding, you're growing, you're because I think one of the things for me is I took a booking that I thought, oh, I know, kind of like how you get a job and you just assume that is how this is the what's going to happen there, and then you turn up and it's not that, and it's something else, and it's like, okay, I'm here now. They know I'm here. I can't go back. Like it's not a case of like I'm looking at the listing and like, oh no, we're not doing. Oh, okay, yeah, we can. Oh, it's like, oh, we've taken it now. We thought it was this, but it's actually that. And figuring out that okay, there is no other way. You just have to face this and just roll with it, and go time. Yeah, I had to show up, and it was a case of like my legs were like this. I was like, I'm sure my mannerism was still not empowered, but I did it. And then I didn't even know how, like, once I leave now and all that, like how I anchor myself. But having the doing the doing that job and coming up like I didn't even know I was anchoring myself at the time. I came out, I was like, oh, I just did that. And even though it felt so uncomfortable in the process, even though it felt like I wasn't in my head that I'm not capable to do this kind of booking. Even though on paper I'm qualified to do it, but I was just like, but then now I'm doing it. Oh, I just did that. That felt uncomfortable, but I did it. That motion, that action was like celebration to me. I didn't even know that was the thing I was doing. That I was like making my like reassuring my nervous system that this we can do. Like we can do uncomfortable things. That was just like, and then for the longest time when I was told that I couldn't be, and I went in my down spiral from there, and then deciding, and then getting to the point where, okay, we're in a class now, and it's like, oh, who's gonna like show up? And everyone's like, I like, let's go. Before I'd be like, just did my thing. Doing those action and realizing that it felt uncomfortable, but I did it. And now I can do this. That helped. That really helped me, that having that realization that the sensation, how I was feeling my body didn't really change, but the meaning I gave how I was feeling changed. Because I thought, oh no, we can't. But this time around, I'm feeling somewhat, but it's like, we can do this. We can expand what we get to do. Having this like, oh wow, giving it a whole new meaning. This discomfort means like, oh, getting better. I'm now with someone different, someone I thought like, whoa, and I like manage that. So it's the reframe, like the changing how what it means to me. Because before I used to think like, oh no, if this feels uncomfortable, that means don't no go. We don't do that. We're not a no. And now when I feel uncomfortable, it means I'm growing, I'm stretching. And like I felt like before I showed up here, if I started showing up here, that I needed to be like comfortable, know my stuff, whatever it is to be here on YouTube. Like, what would I be saying? How would I show up? How am I gonna put my thing across? I was very robotic. I was on edge, even though I was like coming and doing my thing. Now I just feel like that uncomfortness means we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're like I am getting that clarity, I am getting that expansion, I'm speaking to, having those conversations, and it's just different. And this is where, when we like, for me, the discomfort, the identity I feel about like this thing I'm doing is part of what gets me to the other place. It's part of that gray area. We get comfortable, and then once we move out, like, oh, this doesn't feel normal. And then now it's like a new norm. It's just what I do now. In the beginning, it felt like, oh, like just doing and speaking. Oh my gosh. I look very awkward. I sound this. I say so much. So like all these filler words was just prevalent in the beginning, and now I'm getting more conscious about it. I am pausing. I am thinking. It drops here, but I'm more aware, and it's less. So the new identity for myself, and then reassuring and calming the nervous system, the maturity is now growing. So I'm growing, I am expanding, and things are just kind of like flowing for me. Um, so yeah, it is, I guess the way we can look at it is, when next you're feeling that feeling of that uncomfortableness, feeling that uncertainty, you get that tightness in the chest, or you feel like, oh, you're avoiding something, you're overthinking something, you're like wanting to delay, what I would say is asking yourself the question, is this actually danger that I'm experiencing? Or is it just growth that is making for courage? What's this thing that you could kind of like ask yourself in that moment when you feel that discomfort state? Because once we can get into that feeling and position of like, okay, this thing I'm feeling might feel awkward, but I'm doing it. And I can do this. Hence lies growth, the expansion that we need to keep us keeping on. Nene here. Remember, your voice matters and it's your time to use it. Bye for now.